Hey everyone, we're continuing on with our Undertale series and concluding it with part 2. Hey everyone, I hope you're well, playing and or making the games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, Max Pez, as we talk about game and level design. And as always, I'm super happy to be here and to have you all listening. So I hope you're having a great morning, evening, afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this, because it's all about happiness and having a good time. I felt I was really radio host there, but a bit of energy to give today, because not only is it going to be the second part of our little mini-series on Undertale, but this is the 50th episode of the main episodes. I've done more if we count bonus episodes, essential reading, Q&As, but 50 episodes now. This is my chair squeaking and ruining this moment, making me sounding worse than how I want it to be remembered, but 50 episodes, honestly, this is an incredible feeling. I was chatting to a friend before I recorded this, who we'll mention a little bit later on, but to do this now for 50 episodes on the main line is crazy and fantastic, because you never know how things are going to go. And it's in September as well, which I think sums up 2 years now of me doing this podcast, I believe. Yeah, 2 years now. That is even crazier as well. So before we even get into everything, just thank you. Thank you all to you amazing gurus who listen, who recommend, who chat to me, who just communicate and have appreciated and allowed this podcast to be part of their lives and that. So I really do appreciate everything there, people. Honestly, to be on this journey and do this even more, and it's incredible. I just want to stress this as well, as I'm still learning myself, and this is what's been cool about the podcast, because it makes me have to focus and learn, and then getting the chance to talk to you about some of these things, how we all view it together. Do we agree? Do we disagree? And trying to just grow alongside one another is just something that I've just really, really enjoyed. This is incredible. Like I say, I'm a bit lost for words with it. And just thank you all so much for being part of it. And 2 years, I didn't even realize it's 2 years this month until I said it, but 50 episodes in 2 years. Obviously there's more, but 50 mainline episodes. It's been incredible. So just thank you again, everyone, for being part of this journey, and just means a great deal, party peeps. So I appreciate everything that we've done. And we're going to wrap the little sentimental stuff up there and talk about what we're actually here for, and that is none other than Undertale Part Dos, Numero 2. And I'm excited to talk about this one, and also for those who did listen to the first episode where I talked about my friend Steven failing to play the game, he's actually completed it. That's who I was talking to before I recorded this, and we talked about it and spoke a bit about the game, and I'm sure we'll talk about more of it, and the upcoming Deltarune as well. So it was great to finally have him take part, because he's not a huge gamer, so to hear his kind of impressions of the game is always cool as well. Now, for those of you who do not want a spoiler experience, then this may not be the episode for you cool cats, because this is going to contain spoilers with it, so please do keep that in mind moving forward. Obviously, I'd love to have you listen, but if you don't want it spoiled, it's probably best to, wait till you've either played it, or if you just want to hear about cool things, please come and sit down and settle in for all of these really nice elements. Now, this is the second part, so we're going to be breaking things a little bit different with this one then. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about itself is actually talking about how the characters move reflect personality. We talked a little bit about this with Aaron the Seahorse from part 1, but I want to talk a bit more about this with the boss battles as well, and talk about how it gets deeper with those bosses there. And then we'll be chatting about choices that you can make, because there is multiple endings that you can gain with this. So discussing them and how that has an impact on the game, and then actually reflecting on that with Deltarune. If you haven't played Deltarune, great news is it's free. I would advise that you play Undertale before getting to Deltarune, because I do believe, and there's many speculations, but I do think it is confirmed that they do take place in the same universe, and how they actually differ in certain facts, such as choice as well. And that's how we're going to kind of wrap things up with this one here. So let's move on straight away to the first one, which is character move sets reflect that of the personality. And the first one that we're talking about is Sans, because I promised talking about Sans in part 1, and I actually never got around to doing it. I got so focused on Papyrus. But when we talk about their movesets, they're very different. So we'll be talking about both of them. Now, Papyrus is a character who, as set on becoming a part of the guards and believes he's better than how he actually is, but he's got a charm about him. And you can see that within his moveset, how for a long time his moves are super easy. There's kind of a lull. Now, he's obviously I think he's the second actual boss that you encounter in the game, but how they use that to set him up, almost that he is a joke character, so his moves feel like they are that of a joke, reflecting how he is perceived, or shall we say, how we firstly perceive him. And then what switches up there, I think, is a great one, is the introduction of being able to switch the colours of the heart, having an impact on your movement as well. And the great one with that is you've now gotten used to essentially the heart feeling like it could float. It moves freely, and the controls feel very, very weightless, shall we say, that there is no gravity in this. However, it switches over the player's heart to a blue heart. The fantastic thing is you taught about this kind of don't move when blue items attack you, because they only attack, or shall we say land, on moving targets. And the way they introduce this is they throw all these moves, or shall we say bone attacks, at the player, and suddenly you dodge them all to only have this kind of, let me rephrase this, you can dodge it all, but they move quickly so much that you can fail them. But if you master it, they just have this one little one that just gets you, almost as if you can imagine Papyrus joking around, and then his last failed ditch attempt being like, boop. And then we get this sense of what I think reflects, and maybe this is me looking a little bit too deep on it, but this is, because this is a podcast, I have to dig deep here. But for Papyrus, we first think of him as a two-dimensional character, one who's set on humans, is very uptight, and takes himself too seriously. And now we're moving on 2 planes. He feels like that, but as we go on to get to know Papyrus before the final encounter, we understand that this guy is a caring skeleton, that he wants to be a part of the guards, but we all know he can't do it because he's a caring person. And then his movesets switch from that, from what seemed to be a joke in the very first set of attacks, to now being a threatening challenge because of that. And I think that reflects him, is that you learn to love him, and there is a challenge, as I saying, it feels easy at the beginning, but then there's a challenge as if you're discovering more about him. And obviously with you interacting with the characters, such as dialogues, you can flirt as well. You can see even more of him. And in contrast, especially with Sans, now there's a little bit of a side note, I'm sure most of you know, but you can only fight Sans when you go down the genocide run. I'm not too sure if you do it on the average ending. I can't remember, so if someone does know, please do correct me, because I've only done the 2 extremes. So if there is is one in the middle ground, let me know. And yes, but Sans right off the bat, because he is quite a mysterious kind of figure that you meet, and he doesn't say much. He makes a couple of jokes. He may, depending on the route you go, say a couple things. You might have some more interactions, but he never really says a great deal to reveal much about himself. And when he does talk, they're not lengthy paragraphs. It's very much to the point. Which then, when you first face Sans, his first combo normally catches players right off guard, and I don't blame anyone because it is an intense combo. But I love that, because again, that reflects his character. Straight to the point, doesn't have much to say. And he is a absolute crippling boss to beat. Honestly, you will have your motivation tested for sure when playing against Sans. But you're seeing that element to him of he's reflecting, again, being that mysterious and doesn't want to talk much. Now, again, I don't know why I've said again, so scrap that. But one of his moves is that he has these, I don't know if to describe them as like snake skeleton heads, something along these lines. But one of the things there is that showing there's a lot of shadows to do with Sans. You always have more questions than you do than answers when you talk to Sans. And reflecting that is that of showing more characters, again with these heads, these skulls that come in and attack for him. How does he have these? What are they? What were they? These raise more questions, as does Sans, as you communicate with him as you progress throughout the game. And again, I think that's a nice way for us as players to grasp the concept of them. Another great one is actually through Undine as well. And I really like the thing with Undine. Again, some sort of moves change slightly, I believe, depending on the route that you are taking as the player. But one of the cool things with Undine is the fact that she is a tryhard. She's a go-getter. Tryhard might not be the correct word to say, but she's very motivated. She pushes forward and is constantly trying to be better and please the king. And you can see that again in the battle, because you can sometimes, the objective is to run away. Sometimes it's to kill her, depending on how you want to do this. But if you want to do the pacifist way, you need to escape and then run, and then she will chase you. And what I like about this is, first, I think she turns your heart either yellow or green, which then nullifies you from sparing until a certain moment, and then you can go. But as I said, one of the things that I enjoy, and I think that reflects her, is the fact that so you can break away from the attack and then run away, but then she will chase you down. So in that meaning and reflecting again her personality of, she is 100% blinders on and focused on her task, and that she's very full on. When you have conversations with her, and especially if you do the pacifist route, you eventually have the conversation with her, and she asks what drink you want to get, and you go get up, I think, to get something, and she just throws a spear at the table so you don't move, reflecting how full on of a personality she has. And all these little quirks here through the battle system do reflect that of the characters. And I think it is a really important way of expressing each and every character. I know that they're reflected, as we said, in Aaron before, and all of these. So I think there is a lot of thought that goes into these characters, and I think it is fantastic to just be able to sit and, when breaking this down, see how personalities are reflected. And the stories are told, I guess, in a sense, with their boss battles as well. Not just the story of where we are in the sense of time, as in our character interacting with these characters, but also the story of who they are and what their personalities are. So those are my examples on how the moves, the actual battles themselves, reflect the characters, for allowing the player and us to gain an even deeper understanding and insight within these ones.
Love games? Love game design? We do too. So why not help us here at Level Design Lobby spread the word? With Patreon, from as little as $1 per month, you can do just that. And new for 2019, we have more reward tiers and even more awesome perks on offer, such as access to our community Discord, level design weekends, exclusive talks by professional designers, one-on-one sessions, and much more. Sound interesting? Then head on over to patreon.com/level design lobby for more information and to pledge your support today. As always, we'd like to say a massive thank you to all the game gurus who've backed us so far. It's thanks to your generous support that we can continue to grow, pursue new opportunities, and bring you new, awesome, and exciting content. So thank you. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Now the next topic we're going to talk about is the choice. And I think that's a really big part of the Undertale world, and even now in terms of the series of everything. And how that choice is such a big part of Undertale. You choose how you want to interact with those creatures that you meet, how you want to interact with the bosses, how you want to be known. And it is such a key element. Now, there's a lot of choices in games from other such games with morale meters, multiple endings and that. But I think one of the nice things about this is the fact that there isn't a morale meter. You know, your choices actually have more of a physical impact, and not in the sense of Fable where you'll grow horns because you're evil, but more in the sense of that the world changes because of you. Character interactions, not only with you, the player, but with other characters, shift around you. For the Pacifist run, you'll know that Sans and Toriel do talk, and that's one of the reasons why Sans is not necessarily getting in your way. But if you were to defeat Toriel, that never happens. So therefore Sans doesn't talk to you and isn't as present as much. Other reasons as well, you know, killing his brother and the monsters in the world. But again, you can feel your actions. Another way that I think is great with the result of your choices is the fact that the world becomes emptier. There are random encounters, and in most traditional, I guess it's more coined in JRPGs, but I guess it's in other RPGs. But in that sense of old school JRPGs where you'd walk and then, you know, the screen would spin and they'd have music, that this would never end. You could run in a circle or a square, essentially because of the movement controls, and you'd always find something to battle. But if you decide to go full genocide run, then there's nothing left for you to battle in areas, to the point where the screen shows up and it just says no one is there. Again, showing you the impact of your choices. And I think that's again a huge thing for the game, you know, and showing that there's many ways that you have an impact on that world compared to that of when you do a pacifist run. Everyone wants to talk to you and everyone's very nice. You see a lot of them near the end and that leading up to it. So again, choices is big and present. Now you've obviously got the other endings as well and how they have an overall impact. Well, an impact on the player, I guess, with it. But this game is very much about choices, is that you can choose how you and who you want to be. And how, especially the last battle with Flowery and the King as well, that your choices always have an impact on other people. I think it's a big moral of the story, is that we as people always will have an impact and present on other people around us. And I think that's a great moral story there, that, you know, be kind because it will make others kind around you. The fact that you can turn Flowery back to being a nice person, you know, is an incredible thing there. So we'll wrap that up. with choices there. And now, many of you do know because it was out earlier this year, but Deltarune Chapter 1 is out, and it was fantastic. I finished this in, it's not a particularly long chapter, a couple of hours, but for free, fantastic. And I think what they're all doing, working on the game, you can see improvements and how they've changed a lot. Some of those moves and battles, especially the last battle, with how the box actually moves itself, is, I don't know if even the term genre breaking, because I feel like his combat system, Toby Fox's combat system, is so unique in its own regard that he set up so many rules in Undertale that he's now breaking in Deltarune, which I think is, fantastic. The other thing there is showing you that choices don't matter, and again, reversing what we just spoke about, and also the message of Undertale as well. And I think that's, again, another one where I just am excited to see where it turns around and where it is going there. But that there, people, is where we are going to wrap up this episode. I am, as I'm recording this, very tired because the last few days I've been panicking to get stuff ready because I head over to Iceland, and then straight after Iceland I head over to Tokyo Game Show, which is all great. It's just more of quickly running to get everything edited because I'm going to be away now for a fair few days, so making sure that this gets out before then so you all have some content to enjoy for yourselves with it. So again, thank you all very, very much for listening, and to celebrate the 2 years and 50 episodes. It's an incredible time for the podcast, and it was great. Also, we had the most amount of people participating in the level design weekend that we've ever had, so that's great. And more feedback will be coming as we progress, coming on in the upcoming weeks. So those who did take part, don't worry, I am getting round to all of you cool designers there, and I'm excited to see your work. Now, if you do want to get in contact with me, you can do so on Twitter at MaxPairs. But if you want to reach out to me through email, you can do that through leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. And if you do want to support the podcast or take part in future level design weekends or other just level design tasks and be part of the lovely community on Discord, then you can join on patreon.com/level design lobby. And that's it right there. So thank you all very much, and I will catch you all next time.